welcome back to another episode of Quake and Bake. It's been a while since I've recorded an episode of Quake and Bake. This is actually the first one this year. Yay! I hope you guys like my apron. It was a Christmas gift from my mama. She's very crafty. She made it herself. That's where I get it from. True definition of I got it from my mama. She does make them, so if you guys are interested in getting cute custom aprons, I'm gonna link out to her Etsy store. That's right, Mom, because I love you. So for today's episode of Quake and Bake, I thought that I wanted to do something 5 nights at Freddy's. 3 or 2 or 1. Because today we're gonna be making the cupcake from 5 Nights at Freddy's in 1, 2, and 3. And it's gonna be the cupcake. Does that make sense? So we are gonna go ahead and make some cupcakes, and you can use your own recipe if you have a cupcake recipe, but just for the purpose of this video, I really like to decorate, so I'm not much of getting my own recipes. I just like to decorate the things. So I'm just gonna be using some cake mix, normal white cake, and we're gonna make some cupcakes. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get the cupcakes ready, and then we'll go into the decorating after they're done baking. So I'm gonna add my cake mix to a bowl, along with a cup of water, half a cup of vegetable oil, and 3 eggs. Now, following your cake instructions, I'm going to beat on low for 30 seconds. Then at medium speed for 2 minutes. Now I'm just gonna grab my cupcake liners and line my cupcake pan. These are just white liners, so good old white will do the trick. Now just fill up your cupcake liners halfway. So now I'm just gonna give them a little shake and pound it on your countertop surface. This will get rid of any air bubbles in the cupcake. So now bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 17 minutes. So now grab your smaller cupcakes and you're just gonna take off the wrappers and crumble them into a bowl. Now that your cake is all crumbled, we're then going to grab the frosting and we're going to add a couple spoons full into the crumbled cake. Then you're going to fold it in and mix it in so that the crumbled cake is nice and moist. So now your cake should be able to hold a form. If you just go ahead and scrunch it into a ball, it should be able to hold together. If it either is too sticky, you can add more cake, or if it's not sticky enough, just add more frosting. So you want to shape it into a ball, and then you're just gonna go ahead and squish it down a little bit. Not too much. You kind of wanna have the edges a little more flat than the center part. So this is gonna be the top of the cupcake portion. And this is gonna sit on your cupcake on the top. So you're gonna go ahead and make more little shapes like this and just place them on a sheet of wax paper. And we're going to chill them for about 10 minutes while we prep our actual cupcake decoration. So for the decorations, you're going to need black fondant, also some frosting, along with some red oil-based food coloring and some toothpicks to mix it in. Also the candle that goes on top of the cupcake and some marshmallows. And I'm also gonna use some wax paper to lay out my decorations. One last thing that I forgot, a bowl, something you can dip your cupcakes into. So now that your fondant is all warmed up and is easy to mold, all I've done is just grab some of it and made it into a circle. So you're gonna make 2 of them the exact same size circle. And now what you're gonna do is just grab your finger and kind of flatten it out. If you like, you could use a rolling pin for this, but it's really not necessary. So once you have that nice and flat, then you're just gonna go ahead and push up one of the sides because you want them to be flat on one side. You want one of the edges to be straight and you want the other edge to be round. So do the same for the opposite side. You're gonna need 2 of these for 2 eyeballs for the cupcake, for 1 cupcake. And again, remember to flatten one side and try to get them the same size, just like that. You're also going to go ahead and grab a smaller piece of fondant and roll that into a circle again. And this is going to be the pupil of the eye, so that's going to sit right there. But we're going to add in some white so we can get some different definition in the eye, so it actually looks like an eye. I'm going to make this smaller. So you're going to make 2 of them the same size for each eye. So now for the whites of the eyes, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a marshmallow, and I'm going to grab some scissors and just cut it in half. Then I'm going to get the sticky part of the marshmallow, and we're going to kind of just round it out a little bit, and we're going to use that as glue to stick onto the fondant. And just kind of squish it down a little bit so you can get it a little flat. Then for the eyeball, for the pupil, what I'm going to do is just grab a toothpick and put a little bit of frosting on it, and put a little bit of frosting right in the center of the marshmallow, just like that. Grab the pupil and place it right on top. And you can just really go ahead and just flatten it down so it's nice and flat inside that marshmallow. So now I went ahead and grabbed these out of the freezer. What we're gonna do is attach these to the cupcakes, and we're gonna use the frosting as the glue. So we're just gonna grab a little bit of spoonful of frosting, and we're gonna place it right down on top of the cupcake. And we're gonna do this for every single one of them. Then we're gonna grab the weirdly shaped cake pops and just place them on top of the cupcakes and push them down just like that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and melt some frosting so it's easy to dip the cupcakes in. And I'm gonna do that by just grabbing whatever leftover frosting I have and placing it into a microwave safe bowl. So what you want to do is you want to heat it in the microwave for about 5 seconds, take it out and stir it, and do this about 3 times. You want it to be very liquidy. So now that it's nice and liquidy, what we're going to do is add the color. So we're going to grab red, and the cupcake is pink, so you want to just add a little at a time. And you're just going to grab a toothpick and grab some of the food coloring and go ahead and just mix some of it in. So you want it to be a pink color. So start off with less because you can't go back once you get it too dark. Make sure to mix it in real good so it's a nice and even color. I also was able to find this strawberry frosting, which is the perfect color of pink. So now that this is nice and melted, it's very, very liquidy. You want it to be super runny. I have my cupcakes here, and I'm going ahead and sticking in 2 toothpicks into the base of the cupcake, and this is gonna help the little effect of the cupcake kind of having that droop. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So now you're just gonna go ahead, get your cupcake, and we're going to dip it in, swirl it around, pull it out, and hopefully we get the drip. We may need to add more. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna give these a double dip. Let's get as much frosting on there as we possibly can because we really want it to get that droop. I don't know if it's gonna be possible. It might be hard for us to do. So it's pretty hard to get the drooping effect, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull out these toothpicks. I wouldn't recommend dipping in the cupcake more than 3 times because then it starts to get really heavy and the actual cupcake might tear on you. So just be careful with that. I think it looks pretty good though. It looks really nice and smooth. Sad we couldn't get the droops, but we're gonna add the eyes. So the last and final thing to do before the frosting dries is to add on the eyes. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab 2 eyes, and we're just going to push them into the cupcake. So make sure that when you push them in that the icing is somewhat dry, but you don't want it completely dry because you do want to push in the eyes so you can create these little grooves that give it dimension and it makes it look like an actual eye socket. And the last and final step is to add the candle to your cupcake. I'm adding a white candle, but you can add any color you like. You can't really tell what color the one is in the game, so I'm just gonna go with the white one. So once your candle is in place, you now have yourself the Five Nights at Freddy's cupcake. This turned out super good. I am super happy with it. The candle completes it. It looks amazing. The eyes look like they actually have sockets and the little eyeballs look like they're bulging out. I'm super duper happy with the way that this came out. Even if we couldn't get the little droop, it still looks amazing. This is probably one of my favorite cupcakes that I've made to this day. All we have to do now is just light it. Let's eat.